This is 911. Do you have an emergency?
Today on Rescue 911. Step into the shoes of a Las Vegas EMT unit as they hit the streets to save lives.
There absolutely was nothing we could do.
Feel the pressure. Race the clock. Live the emotion.
There are times when you go off in a corner and cry.
Plus, campers trapped in a swamp filled with snakes and alligators wait in terror for help.
Don't move your legs and try to be as quiet as possible.
On Rescue 911.
In recent years, more and more women have become involved in emergency medicine, where split-second decisions often mean the difference between life and death. This story is not a recreation. It's the reality of working in the EMS units and trauma centers on the front lines of medical care in Las Vegas, Nevada.
7:34 p.m. Paramedics are dispatched to a traffic accident.
We got one DOA here at this time. Let's go ahead and get the coroner responding at this location.
It's fatal. We got some information over the radio that this was a 3-victim accident, and one of the victims was dead at the scene.
Control 927 arrived.
In spite of all our safe driving techniques, if somebody comes through a red light with a 3, 4, 5,000 pound vehicle, he's gonna get you.
Got a truck on the left as well. What kind of help you need here?
The fellow in the gold and white pickup truck came through the red light. There was no warning for the passenger of the blue vehicle. It was over instantly. He may not have even seen the vehicle coming.
I'm gonna go over here and help this crew.
Paramedic Debbie Elder is treating the driver of the blue car.
What do you need, Deb?
Okay. You have to hold him down.
Okay.
Hey, turn it around, guys.
All right.
Looking at the damage to the vehicle, which was incredibly severe.
Hi there.
There was no passenger side left. There was no back seat.
Everybody hold on to him.
All that there was a driver compartment, and that was pretty mangled. If we've got an accident that's bad enough that we've got one person that's dead already, then we've probably got a critically injured patient. If he was not indeed wearing a seatbelt and he clips that steering wheel, it's not uncommon to have a dissected aorta, which you bleed out in a matter of a couple, 3 minutes, and that's that.
Marcus Jackson, the 20-year-old victim who was driving the blue car, is transported to University Medical Center where he is treated by trauma team doctor Christine Doyle.
Stop the IVs. Yeah, stop the IVs. Do not. There. Okay, it's coming right out up here.
Right out where?
Right out from the wound.
See anything, whether it's blood or an IV solution that's just salt water, pouring out of something is always a kind of scary feeling because you don't know where it's coming from and you don't know how fast you can control it.
This does not appear to be into the chest. It appears to be into the axilla. Okay? It does go deep. He does have palpable brachial pulses and distal pulses in the arm.
Although the chest cavity was not penetrated, the paramedics made the correct assumption that it existed, even though it didn't.
A CAT scan is taken of Marcus's head and chest.
Marcus's mom was expecting the worst because of what had happened at the scene. So when you see him, it's going to be kind of scary. You understand that?
Is he still living?
He's still alive.
Thank God.
His blood pressure is
Thank
fine.
God.
His heart is working fine.
Thank God.
We're getting all these fancy x-rays, CAT scans. So far, everything looks okay. The head CT scan is fine. Marcus had seriously fractured his arm. But to be able to tell a parent or a loved one that their child or spouse is going to be all right is always a pleasant chore. We'll let you see him in a little bit.
She took the time to let me hold her hand and listen to me. And that was important to me, what Dr. Doyle did. Not only her medical profession, you see what I'm saying? Because that's what she's being trained to. But the woman part in her and the human part in her opened her heart to me.
You can't help but be human, and that means that you hurt for somebody. In this case, Marcus lost a friend and was seriously injured and unable to help his friend. And that always affects the patients, and it always affects us. There are times when you go off in a corner and cry. You can't not do it. There are times when you go home and you cry and you wonder what you did wrong, because you can't save everybody. And we were lucky. Marcus was lucky.
Thank God for them, because if it wasn't for them, Marcus wouldn't have made it.
The driver of the pickup truck suffered only minor injuries. He was convicted of driving under the influence and sentenced to 12 years in prison. But nothing can ever make up for the loss of Marcus's best friend, 19-year-old Lamont Jamerson, who was killed in the accident.
You don't have to be a special kind of person to be hit by a drunk driver. It can happen to anybody. When it happens close to home, that's when it really sets in. When you just sit and think about it, you'd be like, man, Lamont is dead, you know, and a drunk driver took his life.
Think about the person you could be killing if you choose to take on a responsibility of using drugs and alcohol and driving after you do so. Was it worth it?
When you have good friends and one dies, it's like a piece of your heart is just ripped out. And I miss him every day, every single day.
We got to feed Delmar over there.
What Marcus went through changed his whole entire life.
Now, I hold every day of my life precious, and I appreciate all the help the paramedics did by getting me to the hospital. That's probably why I'm here today.
Next. It's the night before Thanksgiving. We were out in the middle of the Everglades, 20 miles from any major highway.
On November 21st, 1990, in North Lauderdale, Florida, Dave O'Black returned home from a bar around 11 p.m. to tell his wife he was going fishing with a couple of friends. He picked up some beer and snacks and headed for the Everglades.
I was concerned mostly about him going in the Everglades. Whenever I think of Everglades, I think of alligators and, I don't know, just wild animals out there. There's no phones and crazy people. That's what you hear stories about the Everglades.
Unbelievable.
Rick was driving, and Shane was in the middle between us, and he was just sleeping the whole time.
I got it.
Rick and I were friends for a couple years. We kind of share the same habits. We fish a lot.
How about you driving out here, but I'm putting my seatbelt on.
While you're at it, put his on.
Shane came down to stay with my wife and I got to know him real well through those few weeks that he was with us.
Listen, give me another beer. You got your belt on or not? We're okay.
As soon as I got to the top of the water, I took a big gasp of air, and I went back down after my buddies. On my way down, I seen the truck, just more or less the shadow of the body, because there was very little light down there. Shane had a rude awakening from this water gushing in. It was just all of a sudden woke up, and he was on the bottom of the canal.
Hey, where's Rick?
Understanding Rick was down underneath somewhere, so we decided to go under At that point, I felt a nudge in my back.
Let's get him. Oh, man. Come on.
When I saw Rick, I just wanted to hope that this is not what was going on, that this was just, I was still asleep. This was all a dream, but it wasn't. It was there. It was happening. And it scared me to death.
Come on, man. Wake up, Rick.
I was yelling from the top of my lungs at him to wake up, and he wasn't moving.
Jeez. Come on.
We had no idea if he had broken bones, busted spine, so we knew we had to move him as least as possible. As soon as my eyes adjusted, I seen blood coming from his left ear. I didn't feel a pulse at that time, and I thought I was doing it wrong.
He ain't got nothing, man.
So I moved my hand around to readjust it, and again, I didn't feel anything.
Still nothing. Come on.
And at this point, I knew he was dead.
Dave began trying to do CPR on Rick as best he could remember it.
I knew he was there. I knew there was something way down deep inside, like a little voice box. And I knew if I'd wake that little voice box up, something would click in and say, hey, look, man, your friends are out there. Let's go back out and see them.
There he goes. Come on, Rick. Come on, man.
And he started choking, at which time he come around with a pulse and started breathing and grunting and showing lots of pain.
And it was approximately maybe 10 till 2. It's the night before Thanksgiving, no hunters, no campers. We were out in the middle of the Everglades, 20 miles from any major highway. So I told Shane, I'm going to run for help, and I told him if he runs into any complications with Rick, just please do what I did and just try and keep him going.
When we continue,
I heard a large splash, and I was worried about the alligator situation with his legs being in the water.
I took off my boots because they were weighing me down, and I just set them down in the middle of the road just in case I didn't make it back or just in case somebody came back there and could have flagged or seen Shane and Rick Lane over there.
I'll be back, man. Couple hours. I'll be back.
The water in that area contains quite a bit of snakes and alligators, crocodiles, and I was worried about the alligator situation with his legs being in the water.
I seen a glow of light coming in one direction, and I decided to go that way because that was probably Fort Lauderdale.
Your mind plays tricks on you. The time gets longer and longer. 5 minutes seems like 20 minutes. 20 minutes seems like an hour.
It's all right. It's all right.
I felt quite a bit alone, knowing that Dave's running for help and could be back or couldn't be back. I heard a large splash, and I said, Rick, I don't know if you can hear me, but I hope you can. Don't move. Don't move your legs, and try to be as quiet as possible.
Finally, after a couple hours on my run, I noticed that there was a campfire to the left.
What do you want? Where'd you come from? What?
I was so relieved that I found help.
the two campers drove Dave back to where his boots were lying in the road. He had run more than 11 miles.
He's right here.
How's he doing?
He's breathing. You all right?
We'll get a flashlight.
That he was maintaining the same condition that he had when Dave left. And we looked for cuts and things on his head, and he was bleeding quite profusely from the ear. And he had a nice deep gash in his head that was bleeding quite a bit.
The campers drove to the nearest phone and called 911. Their call came in to the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Department at 5:15 a.m.
Hello? Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, we got an accident out off 27, and it's kind of hard for me to explain where it's at. Okay, you know, as you're going north, the car was coming down that road, and they missed the corner and went into the canal. This happened about 1 o'clock, and they found us just an hour ago. Has anybody hurt? Yeah, one guy, they had him laying in the canal. He looked like he was dead, but they said his back was messed up bad. Okay, telegraph, but we're almost out of gas. We ain't got enough gas to make it back out there. Okay, sir, we'll get someone right out there.
A rescue unit from Everglades Hospital was dispatched, including paramedic Gene Shunk.
This is roughly 40 miles from our ambulance station. We knew time was of the essence. It was a little cool. We had no idea how long the patient had been in the water. We just knew it was a priority patient and we needed to get there.
More than 40 minutes after the call for help, the first official, Sheriff's Deputy Derek Savage, arrived on the scene.
Hang on, guy. Please here.
The subject appeared to be in very serious condition, possibly broken bones, some internal bleeding. His color was very pale, and he was unresponsive to verbal commands.
Within minutes, the ambulance also got to the scene.
This is now going on 6 o'clock in the morning. Mechanism of injury tells us there's a good possibility that he could have spinal injuries, possible head injuries. Certainly he was suffering from hypothermia. We had to get him immobilized and get him out of there as soon as possible.
As soon as the helicopter arrived, Rick was loaded on board for the 20-minute flight to the hospital.
Rick's condition never changed. He was conscious, but not coherent. And I felt cold. I had that cold feeling. I was scared and shivering and just glad that everything was coming down, that we were getting the hell out of there, that we were going home.
I just felt tremendously relieved when that chopper took off and was rushing him to the hospital.
At Glades General Hospital, Rick was treated by Dr. Jose Pineda.
Rick did not know where he was or how long a period he was in the hospital. He did not recognize many things. One of our concerns was that he did suffer head injury.
But neither a serious skull fracture, a broken collarbone, nor cardiac arrest caused him any permanent injury. Three months have passed since the accident which nearly cost Rick Johnson his life.
I don't remember the accident. I don't remember it happening at all or being in the hospital. Next thing I remember, the only thing I remember is being home 2 weeks after being in the hospital.
Lois Broadwell can't forget those who helped save her brother.
I'm so happy that Rick's alive today. So I'm real grateful things turned out like they did. My family is grateful to Dave, grateful for everything that's happened.
I can't say enough about Dave saving my life. There's not enough words I can say to thank him enough. He saved my life. If it wouldn't have been for him and Shane, I wouldn't have been here to talk to you.
I think Rick's very lucky. I think if Rick would have had his seatbelt on, he'd have been luckier. I'm glad I had mine on. If it wasn't for he and Dave putting mine on me, I probably would have been in the same circumstance.
I would not drink and drive again. The thing that scares me the most about what I did was I could have injured or killed two of my friends, and that would have hurt me more than physical pain did.
We were that close to being, you know, dead. And drinking and driving is completely out of my life. I don't want to deal with it anymore. Life's too short, it's too enjoyable to ruin it on something as stupid as this.
In order to perform life-saving techniques effectively, you need training. There are courses available through the American Red Cross and the American Heart Association. This series is dedicated to all the men, women, and children who know what to do in an emergency and are there when we need them most. I'm William Shatner. Join us again next week for more true stories on Rescue 911.
Mr. Shapiro, step out of the car, please.